Hello everybody, this is Michael, and in this video I want to talk about dysphoria, specifically gender dysphoria as it applies to myself as a transgender person. Um, Dysphoria is a term that's very commonly used amongst gender variant individuals to describe the negative feelings that we have around certain parts of our body, usually, that we feel is not in line with our gender identity. So, the word is the best way I can describe it is the opposite of euphoria. So it could be anxiety, depression, anger, just general feelings of unease and discomfort. So my dysphoria personally was very social in nature. So I felt the most dysphoric around other people, especially people that I didn't know. So, for example, if I was going out shopping, going to the cash register was a huge event of dysphoria for me because I felt like as soon as I started to talk, it would be a giveaway. So, even if a person perceived me as male just by looking at me, I felt that as soon as I started to talk, it would give me away as a trans person. So my voice was a huge area of dysphoria for me. Same goes with my chest. I was very dysphoric about my chest as well. Dysphoria is very stressful, very draining, and I found it was affecting what I was doing in my life. So, stuff that I really enjoyed doing before was harder with the dysphoria that I was experiencing. So, going out shopping, for example, or going out to a party or a social event where I would meet new people, those things became really difficult when I started feeling a lot of dysphoria. It was easier and a little bit better if I'd be around people that I knew. So, for example, at work, where everybody knew me. Now, this was before I came out at work. I felt some dysphoria, but it wasn't as bad. At home, I did experience some dysphoria, especially like in the shower. You know, you can't hide under your clothes in there, so that was generally a more uncomfortable situation. Sex, another big dysphoric event. Even sometimes just being by myself, say if I'm hanging out with the dog and talking to the dog in that, little baby voice that we do when we talk to our animals, my voice dysphoria would be kind of bad then too, and I noticed that I'd start feeling reluctant to train with my dog because I do agility training with my dog, and I found that I became uncomfortable about being in class and doing stuff with him because I just wasn't liking how I was sounding and stuff like that. So, it really affects your life. It's really draining. I found it very, very draining because I felt like the stuff that I really wanted to do, I couldn't enjoy as much as I used to. So, with regards to other things that I was dysphoric about, my face a little bit. I've been blessed with pretty androgynous features, so I felt like my face was okay. The lack of facial hair, I'm a little dysphoric about, just because guys that are as dark as I am tend to have 5 o'clock shadows almost all the time, especially where I'm already pretty hairy. Like, my arms are pretty hairy, and so are my legs and stuff, so I feel like I should have a hardcore 5 o'clock shadow, and I just don't. Before, I used to have, like cheap fuzz that women have. I used to have a lot of that going on, and I decided to just shave it all so that at least if someone was looking at my face that closely, um, they wouldn't see that fuzzy stuff there. So I felt like nothing at all would be better than that stuff. So that helped a little bit. Same like my lip and down here and stuff. Um, with regards to my chest dysphoria, well, binding is very common practice for female to male trans people, and I found that binding helped me a lot, especially during the summer months where it's hot. You're not wearing anything but a t-shirt. Um, if it was cool at all, I was wearing a hoodie or like a zip-up hoodie that I would zip up like 3/4 of the way. I felt like anything bulky around my chest, bulky shirts and stuff like that, helped hide me, helped camouflage me, and helped me feel a bit more comfortable. Um, Button-up shirts at work I found worked better for me. Um, if I was wearing a t-shirt, it'd be a patterned t-shirt, so something that, and you wouldn't think, because you would think that a pattern on your chest would kind of attract attention to your chest, but people would focus more, I think, on the coloring and stuff like that versus the shape of your chest. So I found that wearing patterned t-shirts a bit better. What else? One thing about binding, I found that it affected my breathing a lot, and that might be because I am such a skinny individual. I felt like I needed to bind pretty tightly to have the effect that I wanted, and I couldn't do it for very long. So I actually had two different binders. They were tri-top ones from Underworks, and they actually had three layers to it. One binder, I had cut off one layer, so I had two layers left, and that was my I'm going out shopping or I'm going out for a few hours binder. And then I had one that I cut off two layers and I only had one layer left, and that would be my I'm wearing it all day at work binder. Because when you're wearing a binder for 8 to 9 hours, it really constricts your chest. Like, I would find that my breath was really shallow, my breathing was shallow, and I couldn't get a full breath. So throughout the day, I try to consciously take really deep, slow breaths for a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, but for a few breaths, and stretch my ribs, stretch my back, and when I would take it off, as soon as I got home, give a nice few deep coughs to try and loosen up any fluid buildup on my lungs. Same with when I was wearing the tight binder. As much as we want to bind all day, it's really not safe, and you can do a lot of damage to your ribs and your lungs. So please bind as safely as possible. There are a lot of resources out on the web on what not to bind with, safe binding practices, so please educate yourself before you start binding. And please wear a binder that fits you appropriately. To get something that's too tight is not good. For my voice, I found that I could speak from my belly or my chest, and it's a hard thing to describe, but if you talk from your belly, it's a bit deeper than talking with your throat. So you can practice that and see if you can find that lower register. Generally though, when I was out, I would talk as little as possible. And that's pretty hard for me. I'm a really chatty person when I'm hanging out with friends and stuff, so that kind of became my coping mechanism. Now, I've been on hormones now for 6 months, and my voice is so much more comfortable for me now. There's still times where it feels anxiety inducing to me in certain situations, but generally I'm feeling a whole lot more comfortable with my voice. With my chest, I've had chest surgery, so that's been a huge life changer for me. I can wear t-shirts and I feel completely comfortable. That's huge. Now, obviously, it's the winter and it's cold up here in Canada, so I'm not out in public in just a t-shirt outside. But in my experience so far, I think that won't be a problem for me. Um, I don't know how I would feel about taking my shirt off, say if I was going swimming or something like that. Um, my scars are fading pretty quickly, but I doubt that they'll ever be invisible. So I'm not sure how I would feel about taking my shirt off in front of other people. Maybe if it was just a few friends or something like that. So I'll probably end up just wearing like tank top type shirts, sleeveless type shirts, to try and keep cool. Although it doesn't really get that hot here, so I'm not overly concerned. Um, so dysphoria in general can be varying degrees for everybody. An individual might feel severely dysphoric about certain things, whereas it doesn't bother another person. Um, it could also be sometimes you have really good days, sometimes you have bad days. I would have days where I would feel very little to no dysphoria, and then other days where it felt crippling to me, like I did not want to go out, I didn't want to go to work even. Sometimes it was that bad. So try to take it in stride, take it one day at a time, and when you have those really bad dysphoric days, try to focus on the things that you do like about yourself. I found that I would tend to focus on the things that were making me uncomfortable, and if I tried to focus on the things that I did like about myself instead, it would help get me through the day. So, for example, if you really like the shape of your hands, or you think you have a super manly chin, or whatever it is about your body that you feel good about, try to focus on those things when your dysphoria gets really bad. Um, if you have really close friends or a partner, tell them, let them know, because if we're feeling very dysphoric, I found that when my dysphoria was really bad, I would become reclusive. I would be, I didn't want to socialize. I didn't want to interact with others. So to be able to tell my partner at the time that, I'm just having a really bad day right now, that would be helpful. And it helps them know that it's not them, it's not, anything that they said or anything like that. It's just, you're just having a shitty day. And let them know what they can do to help you deal with those things, those feelings. Um, like for me, for example, in my relationship, I told my partner that I did not want her to touch my chest. I didn't want her to look at my chest, because those things make me very uncomfortable. So, whatever it is that can be helpful to you, um, make sure you talk to your partner about that and your close friends as well. Um, what else? Obviously, transitioning physically has been a huge help to my dysphoria. Not just my voice, but just my general body structure is looking a lot more masculine now, and it feels awesome. Um, Make sure that you are ready for everything that comes with transition before you start those steps in your life. My dysphoria came long before I was ready to actually transition. So as much as I wanted to do those things to get rid of my dysphoria, or to help my dysphoria, I knew I had to wait until I was ready before having surgery, before starting hormones. So if you're in that place right now, make sure you're ready for everything before you start that process. What else? I can't think of anything else. Again, with regards to everybody having a different experience, I felt like my dysphoria was not as severe as a lot of other people, or I didn't feel like it was as severe as it was to other people. So it was instilling doubt in me, because I felt like I should be extremely dysphoric to the point of, whatever. Um, but you don't have to be extremely dysphoric about anything to make you gender variant or transgender. Um, Most people do experience dysphoria, but it doesn't mean that you have to have dysphoria to be gender variant or transgender. So keep that in mind, because there was a period of time in my journey that I felt like I was not dysphoric enough. I was not uncomfortable enough with my body to be transgender, and that was very difficult for me to come to terms with. So you don't have to be extremely depressed or extremely anxious to be transgender. Somehow, there's a perception that's out there in the media that a person needs to be so bad that they're suicidal to be transgender for some reason. It doesn't have to be that way. Now, it doesn't mean that if a person is experiencing those extreme feelings that there are, I don't know, making it worse than it is or anything like that. Our feelings are real regardless of what those feelings are. So just remember that there's no not feeling enough or feeling too much. Whatever we're feeling is what it is, and it's different for everybody. So that's it for now with regards to the topic of dysphoria. um, Thanks for watching my videos, those of you who are watching my videos, and if there are particular topics that you would like for me to talk about, send me a message and I'll do my best to talk about those things. Alright, cheers everybody.